This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carinante. The New York Yankees cemented themselves as the best team in baseball this week by dominating the Washington Nationals. Cade Cavalli and his 2.82 ERA entering yesterday's game. No match for the vaunted Yankees lineup. Brad Lord, All-Star Mackenzie Gore. Everybody got a taste. The New York Yankees did what they... Look, we're joking around. We're trying to determine over the course of the next hour if anything we saw over the last 3 days meant anything to anyone. It's better to win a series and lose it. It's better to sweep a series and win a series. We have seen the Yankees do plenty of playing down to their much worse opponents. And the Nationals have a lot of talent. Okay, fine. The Nationals have some talent. But like James Wood, CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz has been underperforming since being a top prospect and graduating. They had enough athleticism to test the Yankees' shoddy defense, and they sent their three best starting pitchers to the mound. Mackenzie Gore, an all-star this year, had the worst numbers of the three. So you'd be forgiven if you entered the series thinking like, everyone's sort of dancing past this one. The Yankees might lose 2 out of 3. Like, that was possible. And then it wasn't. And they swept it, and they dominated 2 of them. And Giancarlo Stanton dominated the middle one, and they beat Mackenzie Gore by 4 runs. As good a job as you can do in this 3-game series. But obviously, it's our job to decide, did any of that really matter? Is anyone who watches the Yankees or assesses the Yankees from afar going to care what they do before we see them do it against a quality opponent? Have we already learned that they can, in fact, bash 9 home runs in a game against a team they won't see in October? And have we also already learned that they are not going to play at even 50% of that level against a team that they will see in October? Sitting where I'm sitting, it's hard to really think there's much left to learn about this team because it feels like we know both things. I don't think the 12 games against really quality opponents are going to reverse our opinion of what the Yankees do against really quality opponents either. But we are 5 days away, 4 games away from getting a chance to find that out yet again. The Red Sox series we just saw was kind of the end of the road for me in terms of figuring out what we need to know there. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you're an Aroldis Chapman stan who wanted to get in my mentions today. Never go viral ever. Very funny. You see everyone's mad and nobody reaches out to say, I like your tweet.
Yeah. Why don't they do that?
They reach out to, they like your tweet. There's like 1.3K likes on the tweet. So I think a lot of people do like it, but they reach out to tell you you're a baby, a crybaby, and that's fair. That's what Boston fans say. But then a bunch of people also reached out to be like, you were hating on Aroldis Chapman on the field, but you forgot to mention what he did off the field, so you must like that. It's like, wait, no, what? No, I didn't know tweets were supposed to be 700 words long. Sucks in every way, but this was a tweet about him pitching. Got plenty more tweets on the other thing. But anyway, here we are live on the podcast, not talking about that, not talking about Aroldis Chapman's 14 consecutive hitless innings, which is insane. I guess we're talking about it a little bit, but we're talking about the New York Yankees, what we saw, liked, what we learned, what we didn't care about. And Anthony Volpe making 2 outs in a 77 pitch inning. Man, that kind of feels noteworthy. Like, we don't want to pile on the guy, but again, pretty important, damning bad, funny, sad moment in time. Thomas Carinante, welcome to the show. Obviously, the New York Yankees keeping pace with the Red Sox, who were beating up on the Orioles. Again, like I think I said this last show, it seems like they're just going to do whatever it takes to be the team that goes to Fenway in that number 5 seed spot in the wild card, because this is a hell season from hell, and we're destined to see something horrible at the end of it. But how you doing? How you feeling?
Pretty good, and also pretty good. If they go to, I don't want them to go to Fenway at all, but if they go to Fenway and win, cool. That'll be the crowning achievement of the last. That would be bigger to me than going to the World Series. You go to Fenway, you win a playoff series, and then I don't care what you do after that, really.
No,
I would love.
Absolutely would. They are not winning the World Series this year. Maybe next year, maybe someday. If you beat the Red Sox in a postseason series this year, mission accomplished. And a bunch of Red Sox fans will say how far the Yankees have fallen, and that's cope. And I think the first point is, the Yankees have fallen pretty far. They have no titles in 2009, and you have a bunch. The standards are lower than they used to be. And is that cope? Yes. Also, that is cope. But the Red Sox have been a troll organization for a decade. So I guess I would embrace the opportunity to be a troll organization if I had it. I haven't had it. So
without a doubt. And, they have a bad weekend against the Red Sox. It is what it is. They come into this series. Everything is back. Pitching's back. Offense is back. Clutch hitting is back. And you sit here and the Yankees Twitter is just so bad. It's so bad.
Twitter is so bad.
Yeah, well,
There's
Twitter,
no
yeah,
good
you're
section
right.
of Twitter.
It's true. But Yankees Twitter, man, it's like it's literally modern day politics. It's just like you either agree it's black and white, you agree with this or you don't. You can't have a nuanced opinion about anything. It's either you're on this side or you deserve to die. And with the Yankees sweeping the Nats this week, we had fans rightfully say, of course, you come out of the Red Sox series looking dead, and then you beat the shit out of a really bad opponent, and now you're expecting us to buy back in. And I think there's some validity to that. But then you have the other fans being like, oh, well, what about their record against other 500, above 500 teams? They've done well there. And it's like, well, no, they haven't really done well there when you look at, like, the quality of opponent against those 500 teams, above 500 teams. Like, lost the series. You're 2-8 against Boston. So that's pretty much as bad as it gets from a rivalry standpoint.
Yeah.
You lost the series against the Cubs. You lost the series against the Reds. You lost the series against the Tigers. You lost the series against the Astros. You lost the series against the Dodgers. You lost the series against the Phillies. You lost the series to the Giants. I don't know how you did that. You're 3-7 against Toronto. And then you beat down on Seattle, which you do every single year, 5-1 in those 6 games.
Seattle and Minnesota.
Yeah, Seattle and Minnesota, but Minnesota's not a playoff team.
No.
And then they beat the Padres in a series and everything else. And I guess if you're considering the Royals an upstart team right now, they're 6-0 against the Royals, but that again is something that they do. So what they have been doing is they mostly have been beating the teams that it's like kind of the mental edge, kind of like what the Red Sox have over the Yankees now. It's almost like it's written in the stars. You're winning the series and it's going to be effortless. And that's kind of what the Mariners, the Twins, and the Royals series have been.
It's the thing I always make fun of Red Sox fans for doing, where they're like kind of nervous about this Yankees series.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait, there was no reason to be. We beat them every time we play them. Same deal with the Royals. It's like, man, this is a tough time to go on the road to face the Royals. Seth Lugo and Chris Bubich. It's like, no, we beat them up. That's what we do.
And Mariners too, and you're like, damn, this rotation's good. We're going all the way to Seattle, West Coast road trip, and then it's like, beat them anyway.
Well, it's like, oh my God, we always go to Seattle and lose a 1-0 game in extra innings. It's like, yeah, but you win the other two 7-1. Like that's you win the series and you win it in aggregate by 15.
And they they have a winning record. They're a solid team. They are a good team. They are a wild card team. They are an unimpressive team for their standards. So what I don't, and I tried to cope with this myself because I always do get mad, like because the Yankees do run into these series sometimes where it's a 5 ERA guy on the mound and they can't get a hit for 6 innings. And you're just like, what is going on here? A run feels like it's the hardest thing to produce ever. Yeah. So there's a lot to the discussion where the Yankees play down to their competition. They fold like a lawn chair against their rivals, so on and so forth. There's obviously some in between. The in-between would be this week where they beat down on the Nats. Maybe they were motivated after what had happened during the Red Sox series. Maybe they were sick of hearing from the media. I don't know what it was, but we can't now sit here and say, oh, of course the Yankees beat the crap out of a sub-500 team, because last year, and us included, we were saying, why are we coming out of a series where we just handled a playoff contender and now we are not able to string together hits against a 5 ERA starter? So let's try to, it's a frustrating season. We've all admitted that. I think that's essentially, even Yankees optimists this year are starting to, they're getting cracked in the head, and it's starting to weigh on everybody. So wins are wins. This is a series sweep. This is what everybody asked for. After the Red Sox series, what did everyone say? You better sweep the Nationals. You better go 6-1 in these 7 games. That's what everybody said. They're off to a 3-0 start. So am I taking anything away from this National series as real? No, not necessarily. Not anything that I didn't already think I already knew previously, but I am happy about the wins, and I'm happy that the wins were emphatic. and I'm happy there were minimal problems. There were, of course, problems. The Monday night game where you are up 10-0 and then it's 10-5. What are we doing? Why? And then you have some of the Volpe stuff this week again, because it's never going to go away. The week's never going to be perfect. A 3-game set's not going to be perfect, even if you win it. But they swept this in emphatic fashion, and there should be no complaints until this team either beefs it against the White Sox or shells up against another rival and makes our lives miserable.
Yeah, I hate the stuff that's like, my take is obviously I don't think we learned anything long lasting. I'm not going to apply anything from obliterating the Nationals to my playoff projections. I'm not going to be like, Max Fried has found it again officially, so you can pencil him into game 1. Like, you can't do that from what we just watched. But I hate the people who just don't pay attention for the series against bad teams, and then when they win them are like, what am I supposed to learn from that? I already know all I need to know about this team. But I guarantee if the Yankees had dropped even one of the 3 games against the Nationals, those people would have tweeted 15 times being like, told you, fraud alert. They can't play down to their competition. They can't even beat bad teams. Like, those people would have had a lot to say if they had lost a single game, but because they won them all, they had nothing to say. And we're just like, I'm not watching until they play a good team. Okay, sure. Then you don't get to enjoy 3 pretty comfortable wins. It's been a nice week. It's been a comfortable week. I'm not making any grandiose proclamations, but if you've watched the post June 5th, 2025 Yankees, they don't beat anybody. They were 20-31 for a massive chunk. They ruined our entire summer. So if you can't appreciate a week where they are at home against one of the league's worst teams, one of the teams that has had a record close to where the Yankees were during that span of time, if you can't appreciate them taking them to the woodshed 3 times, then I don't, then what kind of, you're not a fan of the New York Yankees. You're a fan of championships. And so am I. And so is Thomas. So are a lot of people. I'm not, when the season ends, I'm pretty confident it's going to end without a title. And I'm not going to sit back and be like, I'll never forget that week in August where they kicked the shit out of the Nationals, though. That was a defining moment of my season. No, but I'm able to sit back and compartmentalize and say, I enjoyed that. It made my week more pleasant. If they're going to be on for 162 games anyway, they might as well be winning some of them. And you're also kidding yourself if you thought entering this series that it was going to be easy. We all said, hey, they got to win 3. They have a golden opportunity. They better get fat this week. But you look at the pitching matchups, it's just not the way it used to be. There used to be like an absolute gas can in 2 out of 3 games in every series against these terrible teams. Sean O'Sullivan is the one that always sticks in my head. He was on like the 2010 Royals. And every time you saw him and his big old mug in a series and a pitching probables with a 6.23 ERA, you're like, this is going to be the easiest game of my life. The Yankees are going to win this game 15-2. These guys don't exist anymore. So the Nationals are one of the worst teams in baseball. They're coming into this series with young talent, young all-stars. You're kidding yourself if you didn't think there was a chance that James Wood just hit 500-foot home runs in the first game.
They just gave the Phillies a tough weekend. I was at Citizens Bank on Saturday, and they almost blew a 4-run lead in the 8th inning.
All of those games were like 4-0 Phillies to 4-3 or 6-1 Phillies to 6-5. Like I watched a couple of those games. I'm in Phillies territory right now. And they were sending Brad Lord, an unheralded young pitcher with an ERA in the 3s, to the mound. Again, Mackenzie Gore. The Yankees can't go a single series against a bad team without getting their all-star. So they got Mackenzie Gore in this series. And then Cade Cavalli, a former top prospect who hasn't been on a big league mound in years and had a 2.82 ERA entering yesterday's game. So you're kidding yourself if you looked at those probables and you were like, win, win, win.
Yeah,
you looked at them and you're like, the Yankees had better win. But nobody in their right mind, after watching 3 months of these Yankees, after watching a decade of these Yankees, was like, well, this will be easy. They'll handle business. And then
how many sweeps do they have this year? They swept the Nats. They swept the Cardinals.
Swept the Brewers in the
not counting
series.
That. They swept the Royals, and they swept the Mariners. And that's it. I mean, look, it's 4 sweeps. I understand that holds some weight, but like those also aren't, week 1 doesn't count. Like the Brewers were not the Brewers at that point. And then again, sweeping 2 bad teams and then 1 team, you just have your number, like you have the other team's number. It's not as impressive. Like, I'm again glad the job got done. It obviously got the Yankees the padding that they need at at what are they, 73 and 60 right now?
73 and 60. They
Yeah.
were once 17 games over 500. They are inching closer to getting 500 over an extended period of time. They're the definition of they are who we thought they were. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised they swept. I thought Luis Heel was going to lose to Mackenzie Gore. It doesn't take much to think that. I thought they were going to win games 1 and 3 and lose the middle one, and they banked themselves a win, in my opinion. And Giancarlo Stanton solo banked himself a win.
That was awesome. Giancarlo Stanton, man. You know what I thought of that game, because this is how broken my brain is with the Yankees this year. The Yankees win that game 5-1. Giancarlo Stanton drives in all 5 runs. And then I just rewinded to the weekend and I said, the Yankees lost to the Red Sox 1-0 in one of these games. And that was the night Giancarlo Stanton got off for reasons unknown. I mean, the reasons are probably that he's playing defense and it's hard on his body. We saw him sit out the entire Cardinals series. But you look back on that and it's like, all right, man, hottest hitter on the team by far. He's like maybe going to steal some MVP votes at the end of this year if he keeps playing at this rate. I'm not saying he's going to win or like be top 3, but some voters out there are going to say, hey, this dude played in 96 games and batted 3-something with 20-something home runs and literally dug the Yankees out of the depths when they where would the Yankees be right now without Giancarlo Stanton? They went on that stretch. I think they went 29 and 35. They've gone 29 and 35 since their slide began.
Mm-hmm.
What if he wasn't here? Is that 20 and 44? Like I'm genuinely asking. His stats and wins right now since he's come back are ridiculous. He's batting like 380 with a 1.2 OPS. So if they don't have that production, I don't know where they are. And you just think back to that Red Sox game and it's like, we really couldn't have figured out a way to get him in all of these games, and like maybe sat him for the first Nationals game. It's an imperfect solution. Kind of something I want to talk about in terms of Judge, but yeah. I mean, I just look back to that and I'm like, that could have been a series split if one swing of the bat of Giancarlo Stanton changes that game. And I don't know, that's where my head's going. But then again, look, you look at the series in its totality. Cam Schlittler is the real deal. Yankees get obviously credit for this. Why wouldn't they? They were the ones who did it. But you are wondering why this is the first guy in however long to look this good. I mean, obviously you had Luis Severino before he kind of fell off, but the Yankees have been known to specialize in pitching scouting, and there just hasn't been a whole lot of dominant arms to come through the Yankees farm in like the last 15-ish years, or at least ones without their problems that they've either had to reinvent or they ended up having success elsewhere. But like, man, if they can find guys like Schlittler and reinvent him the way that they did in terms of velocity and pitch mix, like, let's do this a little bit more. Could be awesome. But he's amazing. I love watching him. He's got, I think, he's got the biggest balls on the pitching staff. He's fearless in every inning. He pitches to everybody, which is, again, another point of frustration for a lot of Yankees fans. Like, so many pitchers over the years just dance around opponents. And it's like, why are we doing this? You throw 98, just beat them to the spot. Like, this is what you're paid to do. Yeah. You have, Luis Heel, it wasn't looking pretty there. You thought he was injured for a second when Aaron Boone came out to the mound, ended up being fine. He did what he usually does. He battled through 5. I don't know how optimistic I am about his runway going forward, but the point to be made is that this is his April, and I think we're getting really good results. Really good results.
I agree with that.
We're getting some good results out of his
smelling zolts
out of his first month. Like, this is his first month playing baseball since being injured, essentially. So to get 5 battle tested innings out of him, no matter the opponent, is a positive. It's just a little bit hard when you're trying to build a postseason rotation. Maybe he's not in the postseason rotation. Maybe he's in the bullpen at that point. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I take positives away from that. And then Max Fried, maybe a jumping off point from his Red Sox outing. Now he's kind of back, 7 innings, 1 earned, and another blowout win. again, nothing that we haven't already known. Schlittler's been like this for a majority of the year. Heel has been like this for the last month. Fried has been dominant for 2 months and then completely off for 2 months. But if the offense can wake up a little bit in terms of consistency, because we've seen them do this, right? We've seen them rip off 25, 26, 27 runs in a series, and then they go into another series and it's 2, 1, and 4 runs. And then you're like, where did it all go? And it was against worse competition. So what's happening? But look, they got the wins that they needed to. Again, I'll be dialed in for I'll be rooting for the Yankees in the playoffs. That's what I'll be doing. I will not be, my foam finger did not get busted out for this series because they won a 3-game set against the Nationals. But there's also, sweeps are hard. We know that. We discuss that often. And the Nationals have kind of a prototypical roster to beat up on the Yankees. They have a lot of lefties in that lineup. They got a lot of athletes in that lineup, and they have talent. So thankfully the Yankees got after their pitching staff, which was their weakness. And now maybe they could take advantage against the White Sox.
Maybe. I mean, you look
but
at
maybe
it,
not, but also maybe not.
Road series, they don't usually play their best here, and the pitching they're going to face is not slouches. I mean, Martin Perez comes back just in time, coming off like a 1-hit 7-inning outing. Shane Smith was an all-star for a reason, coming off a great 7 shutout.
Who's the guy tonight? Davis something?
Yeah, Davis Martin. He's got a near 4 ERA. I think we faced him last year. He's decent. He's solid.
Looked, I think his last few starts, he's looked good.
Yeah, Yoendris Gomez in the second one. I mean, is the worst pitcher. Yeah, is the worst pitcher they faced, but also former Yankee. There's nobody in there. Again, there's no Sean O'Sullivan. These bad teams are they're in the middle of youth movements. There's nobody that just sucks and is playing the worst 29-year-olds you've ever seen. The White Sox have Colson Montgomery. He's got like 14 home runs in 43 games. We're gonna have to face him. Like, the White Sox are in the middle of the turnaround. They're still bad. But you're not going to Chicago just beating up on a AAA team. You're beating up on hopefully, if you win. If you lose, you're getting beat up on by a young, hungry team. And the pitching is competent. And the bullpen is less competent. And the team is not very good. But there are very few just walkovers in Major League Baseball these days. Like, good teams make mincemeat out of these teams that are stuck in between. The Red Sox have the Pirates this weekend. I think the Red Sox are going to play pretty well against the Pirates this weekend. But they do face Paul Skeens and Mitch Keller.
Pirates just took 2 out of 3 from the Jays last week.
Yes. So, like, it's up to the Red Sox, and I would have faith in them. I think they've shown enough for me to say that's a good team. They can win a Paul Skeens start. They can win a series against a Pirates team that doesn't hit. But that's not a walkover series. There aren't many walkovers left in Major League Baseball. And everybody saves their best for playoff teams. And that goes doubly true for the Yankees. Everybody wants to beat the Yankees. It's no great secret.
Yeah.
Again, some Twitter doofus was like, Aroldis Chapman, apparently it's been his dream to play for the Red Sox. It's Salvador Perez tweeted when he signed, and he's clearly playing better in that uniform than he ever played in a Yankees uniform. And somebody was like, oh my God, look at this Yankee fan learning on the fly that not everybody wants to be a Yankee. Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. The problem is that Aroldis Chapman took the Yankees' money over and over again. Not that he didn't want to be a Yankee. It seems like he would rather be a Red Sox, but he got paid by the other team. So that's the problem. There are plenty of people who want to beat up the Yankees, including Aroldis Chapman, and they always bring their best shot because either they grew up Yankee fans and they want to show you what you're missing, or they grew up hating the Yankees like the majority of America and they want to kick them in the teeth. Like, that's a normal thing. So the Yankees always get everybody's best shot. The Schlittler development story is crazy. The Max Fried, finally a good shutout appearance against the Boston Red Sox, followed by a really good, 5+ inning no-hit bid against the Nationals. Can't say he's back, but watching him locate 96.7 on the last pitch of that appearance yesterday did finally make me exhale a little bit and go, I'm not seeing the blister. Like, I'm not seeing him encumbered by whatever was bothering him anymore. So is he back? Is his arm still worn down? Is he unable to give what he was giving in April, May regularly? I'm sure it'll be tougher for him to summon that, but I saw it the last 2 starts. So it's good to know it's in there and it's back. Schlittler has found 10 miles an hour on his fastball in the Yankees development system. Why hasn't this clicked with more pitchers? I can't tell you that, but all I can tell you is I'm glad that they found one They found a moldable body where it worked. And the same scout who found Schlittler found Ben Rice during COVID in Dartmouth. Ben Rice cracked his 22nd home run of the year, and he's, by all accounts, one of the unluckiest hitters in baseball this year, and he has an 850 OPS, basically. Yeah. So some major scouting wins for a team that could really use them. Not permanent. We don't know where these players are going to be in 10 years. I'm not ticketing them for Cooperstown, but very impressive to see. And then when it comes to Giancarlo Stanton, I think we all hoped that vintage Stanton was going to be something that we saw this year after he shook off the rust, but I doubted it. And here's why I doubted it. The double elbow tendonitis. And the day that he hit his first home run, July 2nd in Toronto, that famous game when they erased, 7 or 8-0 deficit and still lost.
And then lost.
Yeah, he hit a 3-run home run. That was his first home run. He finished that game. He entered that game with a 244 average and a 609 OPS in 12 games. So 12 game sample. I mean, obviously, what are we doing here? But it was a lot of singles hitting from Stanton. Even after that moment in time, he saw his numbers further sag. At the end of their Sunday victory in the Subway Series over the Mets, he was down to 222 with a 637 OPS, and that's in 16 games. The games are starting to build up a little bit. It doesn't look good. We're not seeing vintage Stanton. We're not seeing playoff Stanton. And then all of a sudden, a little bit of regeneration after the All-Star break. He finished July with 8 homers and 20 RBI in 21 games. He's gotten even better in August. He's hitting .404 with 9 homers, 23 RBI, and a .981 slug, 1464 OPS in the month. We talked on a previous show about whether they can afford to ever rest him or whether the rest they're giving him is part of the reason why he's performing so well. It's a tough middle ground. I do not envy Aaron Boone and the coaching staff trying to figure this one out. The answer is obviously he has to play more often than he sits. He has to play the vast majority of the Yankees games. And they also do have to figure out how to get him off his feet every once in a while. So in my opinion, Captain Hindsight, obviously knowing they had a 1-0 loss to the Red Sox, rivalry series showcase, that's maybe not part of the plan for sitting him. You maybe need him in that Friday night game, especially after the Thursday loss. And Aaron Judge is someone who you could consider giving more time off to, which you hinted at earlier in the show.
Yeah.
But Wednesday series finale, you've already taken the series from the Washington Nationals. Fine time to sit Giancarlo Stanton.
Agreed.
And a lot of people made a stink out of that. And then they won the baseball game 11-2. And it was the most non-competitive of the series, because even the opening game that was 10-0 somehow became 10-5 thanks to Mark Leiter Jr. and Yerry De Los Santos. So it's tough. Sometimes they get it wrong. I think Friday night of the Red Sox series, they got it wrong. But I think Wednesday night, perfectly fine off day. And in hindsight, that was borne out too, because they won by $1 trillion and he got off his legs for a day. He's got to play the vast majority of these games, but I do think there's something to strategic off days. And I think they're not always going to get him right. And in the most important game of the year, he's got to play. But they found one yesterday.
They did. And I usually don't think they're wrong with this. Like, they are in between a rock and a hard place. We know how delicate the situation is. I don't think anybody really crazy people did, but like we were sitting here when he sat out the St. Louis series and we're just like, damn it, man, like something's wrong again. But this time we got way past that and there was nothing wrong. So it was like, he's got to play the Red Sox series, especially because he didn't play. He played 1 inning against the Rays on the night before. Yeah. So you gave him the rest that he needed. And now he's got it. Like, come on. And again,
there's
like
always something too to like foul up their plans. Like they tried to give him that day off in Tampa, and instead he had to come in and play the outfield in extra innings. Like the Yankees always get taught a lesson there. They
do, but also like 1 inning can't change the calculus with Giancarlo Stanton's playing time. That's just how it has to be. But you look at the rest of the roster, and Judge woke up yesterday with a home run, but he has been terrible since he has been again, terrible for Aaron Judge standards. We talked about this before. He is also injured. We know he is injured. So that is a guy who can get a breather and Giancarlo Stanton can shift back to DH. And like, you look at the Red Sox series, I know that on paper if you sit Aaron Judge in the Red Sox series at any point, you're gonna wear it, right?
Yeah.
You lose a game by a couple runs. Oh, what if Aaron Judge was in there? But I'm not advocating for it. Then again, if you look at the divergent paths of Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton's history versus the Red Sox and Aaron Judge's history against the Red Sox, it is night and day. Giancarlo Stanton is the better hitter. Aaron Judge is the worst hitter. Alex Cora knows how to pitch to Aaron Judge. Giancarlo Stanton breaks Alex Cora's brain. Don't know why, but it just is what it is. So if there was a lane in there to give Aaron Judge a rest day against the Red Sox and maybe bring him in later in the game and do some positional switches, I don't know. Feel like that's possible for a manager because this team, again, has a lot of depth, is very versatile. Feel like there's a way that they can make that work. I don't know, but Stanton needs to be in there for the most important games, and they need to figure out a way to make all of this work. Another developmental win. I know this is complete departure from what we're talking about, but we're talking about Cam Schlittler. Ben Rice, dude. Ben Rice's developmental win for this organization. Yeah. Everybody deserves pat on the back for that. Late round pick out of Dartmouth. Rockets up the minor league system. He is literally the most, like, outside of Judge, the most complete hitter on this team, I think.
And you look at some of the silly trade takes of like people trying to dump Schlittler and Rice, like, oh, we can't trade Lombard, so we got to trade Schlittler and Rice for Eugenio Suarez. Like, a lot of people needed to log off the app, twitter.com, over the trade deadline week.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, if you thought that was feasible for the Yankees to do in terms of parting with those guys, like, you're either hawking the box score or you're just not watching enough live game footage, because the way that Ben Rice's approach at the plate is, again, probably the most disciplined aside from Aaron Judge's when Aaron Judge is locked in. We know even Stanton has problems with plate discipline. When he goes slumping, it's, swinging at sliders in the other batter's box. I know everybody undergoes a slump. Everybody has a tough stretch, but the consistency with which Ben Rice has put forth quality at bats this year is only rivaled by Aaron Judge and honestly nobody else. We saw Cody Bellinger bat 160 in the first 5 weeks of the season. He was going through it. He's also someone susceptible to slumps throughout his career. We've seen it happen over the last 5 years, especially. And I'm not saying Ben Rice is better than any of these people. I'm just saying it is wildly impressive to see him maintain this consistency. And he is the only player who could be defended by the bad luck argument, because Aaron Boone has tried to do it with Austin Wells this year. He's tried to do it with Anthony Volpe this year. Those guys are not the products of bad luck. Those guys are the problem. Those guys are the products of something is gravely wrong and we need to fix this. Mechanic wise, injury wise, whatever. Ben Rice was tearing the cover off the ball, literally just hitting it directly to outfielders, directly to the first baseman, and there was nothing he could do about it. Now all of that is coming around. I mean, obviously it's been coming around. He's been good for over a month. He's been very good for over a month now, and his start to the season was incredible. But I mean, can we change this batting order a little bit? Can we, like, I'm looking around the league, and I understand that having your best hitter bat leadoff is really only applicable to the Dodgers because they have 14 All-Stars on the roster. But, like, what about Judge batting leadoff, Rice behind him, and then, Stanton, Grisham, Bellinger? Like, mix, I don't know. Like, Paul Goldschmidt can't bat leadoff anymore, in my opinion. That's just not really a thing. I do like Grisham in the leadoff spot, but if you're talking about stacking the deck against the opponent, I don't know. Rice and Judge need to be there back-to-back in whatever manner possible, because at this point, I think Ben Rice is a feared hitter. I don't know if that will be the same approach when we get towards the end of the season and into the playoffs, but he could also make the opponents pay for it if they think that they can overlook him. I don't know, but at this point, if you're trying to ride with the hot hand, like, why not try Judge in the leadoff spot? And, like, that could take a little bit of the pressure off him to drive runs in. And you already have RBI machines in Grisham, who's driving in runs in the leadoff spot like a maniac.
Clutch Ben all Rice, the time. Clutch in every big game. It's crazy.
I would love Grisham up with more times with runners in scoring position. I think that would be great. I think Ben Rice is driving in runs like a maniac. Giancarlo Stanton, we don't have to talk about it any further. Cody Bellinger has been a risk monster all year. Move Aaron Judge up to leadoff and just see what. I'm not saying, like, that's been the problem with the lineup this entire time, but try it out. We're playing the White Sox. Like, even if we're playing a good opponent, like, mix it up, see what can happen. And that could help Aaron Judge at the beginning. Look, again, he's slumping. He's still batting under 200 since the start of the second half, I think. So I don't know, put him in a more comfortable position, change it up a little bit, see what happens. But you have guys who are driving in runs right now. Take advantage of it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it just makes me more and more infuriated that Trent Grisham couldn't get on the field over Alex Verdugo last year, and a lot of people thought Trent Grisham stunk because he had like 6 at-bats in 35 games, and people are like, this guy blows, and it's like, you go to the end of the earth to defend Jason Dominguez and yell every time he gets a day off, but Grisham would have 9 days off in a row and then pinch hit and strike out, and people would be like, this guy's a joke. Like, oh my, come on, guys, get a grip. Like, quite clearly, he's someone who's earned himself a lot of money this offseason. I don't know what that contract is going to look like. I'm pretty sure the Yankees are not going to pay it, but take advantage of him while you got him, because this is a dude who is impervious to pressure at this point and needs to be getting as many opportunities. The pitch he hit out yesterday, again, it's just the Nationals. I mean, this is a fastball 6 inches in off the plate, and he
gets his hands around so well.
Crazy over the short porch. And yeah, there's a porch there, but also he knew that, and all he had to do was get his hands in around the ball, and he did, and he hit a 315-foot home run to kick off a scoring bonanza. So shout out to whoever. There's a shocking amount of things on this Yankee roster that look pretty good for a
That's
team.
why we're like, dude, why isn't this better? Because you're getting a resurgent year from Trent Grisham. You had Cody Bellinger wake up and become a clutch hitter. You have Giancarlo Stanton on this torrid pace. You have Ben Rice, who's developed into a bona fide major league hitter, and you have Aaron Judge and Jazz. We didn't even mention Jazz Chisholm yet. Jazz has made his fair share of mistakes. We've gotten frustrated with some of the low quality at bats at times and some errors in the field, but he's on pace for 40-40 across his first 162 Yankees games. So, like, what's the problem? What is going on with this team? That's why we're frustrated.
Yeah, I like this roster more than I've liked a roster since like 2019, but they're the most frustrating team since 2021. And yeah, people want to say, oh, try being a Pirates fan. No, I won't. I will not try being a Pirates fan. Yeah. Yes, my standards would be different if I was a fan of a team that had not won a World Series.
I'd be able to not watch. It'd be great.
But it's like, what everyone thinks they're making a brilliant point. My standards would be different if I was a fan of a team that had not won a World Series in my lifetime. Absolutely. But we watched them do it. We know it's possible. We know the organization's mentality and mindset has slipped, so we want to see it get back. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the pitching staff does not match the depth of the lineup at this point, but maybe it will someday by the end of the season, or maybe it won't, because that's where we're at. And maybe we can bench Anthony Volpe more often in favor of Jose Caballero. Last time, again, we're not just going to harp on Volpe and act like this is the biggest tragedy, and the Yankees are making a mockery of society by continuing to try to squeeze value out of this player. But and yeah, I think it's a bit overkill to just tweet every time he makes an out.
Oh, can you believe it?
0 for 4 now, 0 for 5 now. But that said, 2 outs in the 1 inning when they were scoring 9 runs, the 41-minute inning was egregious because it just magnified an ongoing issue. And Jose Caballero shouldn't start at shortstop every single day. His value is as a utility player. He's not an everyday shortstop. It's really fun. You can keep him on the bench, deploy him. He stole a base earlier in this series before Clayton Beeter had even let the ball go. He was just standing on the mound. Jose Caballero was like, I'm going to take that. That's the kind of player you move around and you value, and in a postseason game could absolutely make a difference. He's one of the smartest acquisitions anyone made at the trade deadline offensively, which is crazy considering the resources the Yankees wasted on Jake Bird and the struggles of Camilo Doval. But Jose Caballero, they got that one right. Everson Pereira's hitting 121 in Tampa. So I'm not saying he's your everyday shortstop. I think you lose something if you just bench Volpe in perpetuity. But twice a week, necessary. Absolutely. And this is the time of year when it's too important to be dedicated to Anthony Volpe as a no-holds-barred regular. He's the worst Yankee in an 11-game stretch since Dave Fultz, a guy from 1905 who played for the Highlanders. Like, it doesn't get
also
worse.
Was like a dry cleaner, probably.
It doesn't get worse. You're talking about a pipe fitter who like wasn't trained. Like, people in 1905 were like, I'm going to the old ballpark, kiss my wife goodbye. Like, these are the best athletes in the world now these days doing plyometrics. And that was a guy just being like, play for the New York Highlanders. I've got a couple hours. I guess so. And he was terrible. And Anthony Volpe is the only guy who's ever been that bad. And there, Chris Kirschner was going through the worst, 37 plus at-bat stretches in
I don't
Yankees
like
history
that.
or whatever. And it was Jason Giambi with the stomach parasite and Anthony Volpe. Like in the summer of 2004 when Jason Giambi, we were all like, maybe he has a serious disease. Like that level of Jason Giambi was where Volpe's at now. So, Aaron Boone said he's our shortstop. And I think if he's going to get regular playing time, I don't think either of those statements indicated he must start every day. And if it ends up being that he starts every big game from this point forward, fine, kick me in the balls. It's happened before. But I think Caballero is going to start twice a week. I think he has to. And I think the Tuesday lineup against Mackenzie Gore, I had somebody write an article that one lineup decision was going to show you how serious the Yankees were on the pretense that they weren't going to start Ahmed Rosario. So basically, I assigned that article to someone because I was like, this is going to blow up when they don't start Ahmed Rosario. And then they did. So they know what the situation is. I think they're done playing around. But again, they have another couple of weeks to show me that they're still playing around. So who knows? I wouldn't expect Anthony Volpe to play every single day. And they tried to protect him from vitriol. It backfired. But also, if he wasn't 1 for 37, he wouldn't be getting so much vitriol. So
exactly,
it's on the player too.
It's of course it's a combination of factors here. We talked about how the Yankees have kind of made their bed here by denying the fact that Anthony Volpe was struggling while everybody was watching it. And then they paid for it by having it reach a point where just general baseball fans were looking in on the Yankees being like, what? Like this starting shortstop? This guy is batting.
He's a meme player now. Like it's not fair.
So no. And so you look at yesterday, there's a 77 pitch inning. The Yankees scored 9 runs and Volpe makes 2 of the outs. And then after the game, Aaron Boone's like, yeah, well, he hit that one hard down the third baseline. And it's like, dude, sure. Yes, balls get hit hard, but also he can't. You want to talk about his struggles? Okay. He also is unlucky at times. So when you combine not getting lucky with hitting the ball hard and also being bad, that just means nothing is working out. He's not supposed to get lucky in between him swinging at sliders in the other batter's box. He's not supposed to get lucky because he's swinging under 94-mile-an-hour center cut fastballs. He's just also getting unlucky because he's not putting enough balls in play. He's not making enough contact, and he's not putting up good at bats. So why would luck come your way if everything else is not going well? So you look at this scenario, and I am genuinely wondering who the 2026 shortstop is going to be. We'll save that conversation for maybe 6 weeks from now. But I think now we've reached a point that the Yankees have no choice but to be honest with themselves. They are not in danger of missing the playoffs, but they will be in danger of missing the playoffs if they aren't kind of treating every game as if it's a borderline must win. And I think that goes into, okay, we're on a roll right now, or we need a win right now. We need to change up the lineup. Anthony Volpe is not in the lineup for whatever this game is. They benched him. It is insane that he got 2 days off in a row for the first time in his career, Sunday and Monday. It is absolutely ridiculous that they finally took, and I don't even think that they needed to take that measure if he was struggling. There are just times where the starting shortstop can get 2 days off if the team's on a roll and you think he's wearing down and needs a breather. So like the ignorance with this entire approach with him is so exhausting. And the fact that we're still talking about it is just sad. Why do I care about Anthony? I don't care about Anthony Volpe's 11-game stretch. That's an unfair splice to do. But guess what? That's what it's come to. Now it's come to magnifying his heinous short-term slumps, which have existed, quite frankly, since 2023. He's gone 4 for 58 in certain stretches. He's gone 1 for 30 with 1 walk before. He's not gone. He's not strung together extra base hits. His entire career is a hot April, a hot 2 weeks after the All-Star break, and then nothing. So I don't know how the Yankees have put themselves in this position with the talent that they so confidently believed in, to the point where they were going to yell at reporters and they were going to ask everybody if they were insane as to why they thought Anthony Volpe needed a random day off in July. But like, this is what they've done. And now there is no hiding from it. There is no hiding from what he figures out. Not him. It's just, again, the cosmic nature of it. Something new happens every week, every other day. Like yesterday, 2 outs in the same inning when the team's rallying. Only person to go 0 for 5 in the lineup, only person to not get on base. And this is a win that was an 11-2 victory where you weren't sweating it for a second. There was and of course, social media is bringing up the points that you don't want to hear. And like, I don't want to talk about Anthony Volpe in a negative vein anymore. I feel like the ship has sailed, and now it's like with the Devin Williams stuff, it's borderline bullying now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we were genuinely mad at Devin Williams in the beginning of the year because it was like, dude, you were the best closer for 5 years, and now all of a sudden you come here and you can't find the strike zone and you can't handle the 9th inning. Like, that's objectively ridiculous. And then 3 weeks ago, if you were like, it was legitimately unfair to criticize Devin Williams because Aaron Boone kept throwing him into high leverage situations and it was abundantly clear he couldn't handle them. So now they're doing the same thing to Volpe, where it's like, he probably shouldn't be starting this often, and he should be kind of pushed back into the shadows as best they can manage it in terms of playing time. And then like, the recourse will come when the recourse will come in the off season. But it's not a pleasant talking point. Again, he's a kid who's trying to make a career for himself, and he's unfortunately struggling. The Yankees, I think, have put him in a bad position, but this team needs to win and make the playoffs, because if they don't, the conversation is going to get a lot worse, and it's going to get more unpleasant, and it's going to get more disgusting. And we've seen where this goes. IKF got death threats from Yankees fans for no reason, because
for being
he just,
himself. Yeah.
For batting 257.
Yeah.
Like, it's insanity. So like, this has to stop, and the Yankees need to do something to make it stop. And fans have Jose Caballero's playing well. I'm not saying he should now take over starting duties everywhere or get everyday reps, but like, you have an option to make it happen. Previously, what was the option? No backup shortstop, because the Yankees did this on purpose so they wouldn't have to have this conversation, or Oswald Peraza, who was worse. He was batting 160 and had no power and didn't really look like he wanted to be here at times. So at that point, you're like, okay, who are you going to start? You can't really start anybody else. Now you have an option. Now it has to happen at least 2 times a week.
Volpe and Devin Williams is a great comparison because, again, at when the year started, Devin Williams becoming the worst closer in baseball after being the best closer in baseball was extremely frustrating. And then at a certain point, when they removed him from the closer role, they acted quickly, but then they erased their actions. But when they acted quickly, it was like, yes, great. I'm not annoyed at anyone. I'm not annoyed at management. I'm no longer annoyed at the player. They realized, okay, unsalvageable right now. Can't close, no high leverage for a while. This is over. And then I'm no longer upset at the man or the team. I'm not thinking about the trade anymore. I'm thinking about how they acted. Then they bring him back into high leverage. I've already made my conclusion on Devin Williams. I know what he's like in these scenarios. Then I'm mad at the team, and then it feels like bullying. It's insulting to the fan base to bring him into multiple save situations and scoreless games in Texas in what was the most important series of the year at that point. And I kind of thought they were going to bring him into another one when they were running low on arms, and then they did bring him in extra innings in the Houston series. That was insulting. We know what Devin Williams looks like in those scenarios. I even thought it was pushing it to bring him into a 5-2 game against the Red Sox this past weekend, but he looked great. He did the job. Maybe he'll continue to. Hasn't earned my trust back yet. I applaud every good thing he does. And I don't think he should be misused or put in the spotlight the way that they insisted on doing at the start of this month. Volpe, same situation. And some people, again, I guess you're not allowed to say bad things about certain people, about anybody on Twitter, because you just be accused of being a crybaby. People leave the Yankees, and some of them are great, and some of them I hold no ill will towards. If Gleyber Torres has a good year this year, which he's sort of, if anybody wasn't watching, right back down to around his Yankees level. He's like a 112 OPS plus, hitting 259. He's been good. He's basically been Yankees Gleyber Torres, which is a fine player. Garrett Whitlock is the Red Sox setup man. I wish he wasn't doing it for the Red Sox, but I hold no ill will towards Garrett Whitlock. It's also not like he was terrible here and ruined my season and then is great somewhere else. And so if Anthony Volpe goes somewhere and discovers and figures it out, I think Anthony Volpe's a great kid. I don't have any issue with Anthony Volpe. He's at the point right now where he has to be treated like Devin Williams and de-emphasized. And if he becomes the starting shortstop for the Seattle Mariners for 12 years, more power to him.
Great.
Aroldis Chapman is an absolute loser. Like, it's the opposite. Like, there are people who leave the Yankees, and if they perform well, I'm like, unforgivable. You are an absolute loser. And that's how I feel about Aroldis Chapman, a guy who the Yankees acquired right after a suspension for off-field behavior. Never let that get forgotten. Came here, didn't seem like he wanted to be here, could not figure out how to avoid meltdowns, ended seasons. It was unpleasant to have him because of the emotional baggage. It was
didn't want to re-sign him.
Didn't want to re-sign him. He comes back, like, he keeps taking the New York Yankees money and underperforming. And when he left, the Yankees didn't want to guarantee him a postseason spot after he had gotten an infected tattoo, skipped out on the season, and pitched to a 4.46 ERA. And his people basically held the Yankees hostage, and they said, we're not going to fall for this. And he said, great, I'm going home. I'm quitting. So that's not someone I have any sympathy for. And the fact that he has discovered how to pitch with control for the first time in his life and has 14 walks and 52 innings with the Boston Red Sox at the age of 37 this year, yeah, that's going to make me mad. But Anthony Volpe figures it out somewhere else. A coach gets to Anthony Volpe before it's too late. Totally fine. And maybe that is where this eventually gets to. Or maybe miraculously he figures it out in New York. He's the player he always should have been. And maybe it's next year.
That would be great. I would love that.
We are 3 years in now, and it's feeling less and less likely that is the case. So
how excited were we? And I when he was in high A raking and climbing up the prospect charts, we were like, oh my God. I mean, yeah, we did get mad when the Yankees neglected the free agent class because it was like, okay, this kid looks great, but also he can play second base if you need him to, but and also like, you're telegraphing that he's going to be as good as some of these guys who have been in the league for anywhere between 6 and 8 years and have played at a perennial all-star level. So like, that's a little bit crazy and that's a lot of pressure. I think the rage there was warranted, but and especially some of those candidates were like, okay, you could shift him to third eventually. There were 3 of those guys that you could have shifted to third or second. Javier Baez is now a super utility player. Did I want him? Not necessarily, but he's playing center field. He's played third base. He's logged some reps at second base. He's back to playing some shortstop. Corey Seager, they've been talking about moving to third base. Carlos Correa is already at third base. I know we talked about that being a little bit more of a problematic situation. So like there were options to be flexible. And you go back to the Bryce Harper argument where Brian Cashman was completely dumbfounded by the question about him potentially moving to first base. And then what is he doing? 2-3 years into his Phillies tenure, he's fucking starting at first base. So like, that's where I think a lot of the frustration came from. And then it was unfairly transferred onto Anthony Volpe when he wasn't delivering, because everyone's like, oh, we passed on the shortstop class for fucking this. And it was like, no, the Yankees did that and they did it incorrectly. And now they're making him look bad, but it's unfortunately all part of the conversation and more of the Yankees doing.
Yes. And what is next for the Yankees? I mean, we're glad they did all this work at the trade deadline because there are very few options down the stretch, September call-up wise, waiver wire wise. So this is the roster. They took too long to put this roster together, but what's done is done. I mean, if you're looking for Spencer Jones to be called up, as I know Clint Frazier is based on the title of his latest podcast, when the fuck is Spencer Jones getting called up? I don't think it's happening this year. They are going to have to make room for Austin Slater, or they're not. Again, I'm not the Austin Slater police. If they don't want to find a room for one of their trade deadline acquisitions, then they won't. But theoretically, he comes back in September and can deepen the bench again. Ryan Yarbrough is about to come back. Fernando Cruz is already back. Paul Blackburn is on the roster and is incredibly DFA-able. And Jonathan Loaizaga being permanently injured makes this a little bit easier because I don't think they're going to have to welcome him back at any point. Side note, totally fine. But that means you can DFA Blackburn and bring Yarbrough back, or if you really want both, you can expand the roster with Yarbrough and keep Blackburn, and then you get to add another reliever who's probably going to be Yerry De Los Santos in a couple of days because they trust him. His third inning implosion in third inning of work after 2 good innings the other day. Probably not enough to take him out of the Yankees' plans forever.
He shouldn't be pitching 3 innings, though.
No, they were desperate. Mark
Yeah.
Leiter Jr. should have started that 9th inning. I
Yeah.
don't really know why he didn't. It's not like he's above pitching in a 10-0 game. He came into a 10-1 game and he made it 10-5. And then in terms of the waiver wire, I mean, my least favorite Yankees pitcher of the past 5-10 years, Andrew Heaney, is available. No, thank you. Tommy Pham, I mean, the Pirates are going to put people on waivers. We don't need another power hitting outfielder as solid as Pham has been. I don't think the Pirates are going to put him on waivers after all. Carlos Santana, not a solution for the New York Yankees. There's not a lot of talent on the open market. Paul Blackburn probably going to be the last major non-roster addition to the Yankees this year. So soak it in. I don't think the prospect cavalry is coming. I don't think external players are coming. I think these are the people we're going to have to go to war with for the rest of the year, depending on if Austin Slater can get himself healthy. Beyond that, the position players at AAA are like Heimer Candelario and Andrew Velasquez. Like, I don't think any of those guys are going to come in and move the needle. That's why they made the deadline moves they made. These are pretty much the guys. Spencer Jones would be very exciting. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and there's nowhere to really fit him. Like, you can't take playing time away from anybody right now. Bellinger, Grisham, Stanton, Judge, and that's where Jones would be eating up time, and that's literally not you can't do that at this point. So
that's your core. Those are the guys you must play.
We called for it earlier when there were concerns over Jason Dominguez when we needed an extra outfielder. We called for it earlier if Aaron Judge was going to miss time more than the standard IL stint. Unfortunately, his standard IL stint also coincided with a Spencer Jones back spasm issue, so that was out of the question. Look, I'm still down for it if they can figure it out. I don't know, honestly, what more Spencer Jones will have to gain playing an extra 2.5 weeks in the minor leagues. I'd kind of rather him up with the big leagues, kind of like how they handled Jeter in 95, when he just got the vibes and felt out what it was like to be around veterans and be in a playoff atmosphere. Maybe that can be beneficial. I don't know, but there are uninspiring options, and the Dodgers are kind of going through it right now too with that, where it's like they kind of made some of their promotions. Like, we brought up Cam Schlittler. They brought up a couple of other guys, and they have so many other players returning from injury. Like, what we had now, Cruz just came back and Yarborough's coming back, and they're both integral pieces. So it's not going to be an exciting September in terms of that, but I think there's enough maneuvering that they can do in order to deepen this roster a little bit and rattle off some wins.
Hopefully, here come the White Sox for 4 and then an off day. We're going to Chicago. It's definitely a little bit of a puke situation. They are a better team than their record indicates. They played really well in the start of the second half. The magic is worn down a little bit. Luis Robert Jr. not playing in this series, just hit the injured list again. Pick your jaws up off the floor. The lineup is less deep without him. I think the Nationals have a roughly a comparable lineup to what the White Sox are rolling out in terms of electric young talent. The White Sox don't quite have a James Wood, but Colson Montgomery is pretty close. Again, no truly horrible teams left on the New York Yankees skips. A team like I hate to scoreboard watch the Red Sox, but like a month ago, I would have been like, ugh, the Red Sox have 6 with the A's in September. And now I'm like, I don't want to play the A's. Like, Shea Langoliers, Lawrence Butler, Rooker, Wilson back healthy, Nick Kurtz, like that team cranks. Yeah. They're not a first place team. There's a reason they're like 60 and 73, but that team can be very dangerous on any given day. And the White Sox are, I think, a tick below them in terms of teams I'd be scared to play right now. But there's no, again, the White Sox are not rolling out a quad A lineup. The White Sox are rolling out a young, incomplete team. Mm-hmm. So this should be a more interesting. There's a world where this is a more interesting series than people are thinking. There was a world where the National Series was more interesting than people were thinking, and then it wasn't. And then the Yankees just cranked. So that was great. But no reason to just walk. No reason to call this a walkover. That said, they're going to play 12 games against playoff teams after this. At Houston, home to go play Toronto, home to play Detroit, at Boston. Those games are going to mean a lot. And even if they don't mean a lot on an individual basis in the standings, you're going to feel them. You're going to anticipate those games all day. The White Sox series is the last chance you're going to have for a while to not be like waking up being like, oh my God, it's only 7 hours until we go to Fenway or whatever. So hopefully the Yankees perform well in these games. That is not to say that they can't lose these games. That is not to say there's not going to be stress involved. There's going to be stress involved. They probably are not going to 4-game sweep the Chicago White Sox. They need to keep that intensity level up because they are not going to have many more chances this season. And they'll have no chances at the end of their schedule to relax whatsoever if the 12 games against playoff teams don't go well, because then they'll be fighting for their life against the Twins, White Sox, Orioles at the end of the year. So this is the last chance they'll have for a while for every game not to be utterly terrifying all day. So hopefully they take advantage of that, play loose, and play a good solid 4-game series. And hopefully we get to relax a little bit and aren't in a drama-filled nightmare from first pitch till end of game. But there's definitely not going to just be breathe easy scenarios in this series.
I know. I just want they gave us a nice breathe easy series for the Cardinals when they swept. I don't need a sweep this weekend. I just want this is the one last time I think I'm gonna kind of be able to put my feet up and not have to rage against the machine. Yeah. So if we could make that happen, I'd be really appreciative.
It would be great. It would be great. Is it going to happen? It'd be very nice. It just did happen against the Washington Nationals. Maybe it happens again. This is kind of a fun opponent. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's more fun being 5 games up on a playoff spot than it would be if they were a half game up.
Yep.
Because you get to see what they have to offer. And hopefully if the New York Yankees get punched in the mouth, they punch back. And hopefully they never get punched and they win a bunch of baseball games. But life's not always candy and rainbows. Aroldis Chapman's still a big fat loser.
Despite
winning a whole bunch this year. And a lot of people again pointed that out that
I hope there's a fucking bomb hit off him in the postseason and we have to see him smile and walk off the mound and then all of Boston turns on him.
Yeah.
Oh God.
There's no middle ground. There is no middle ground here. Like either he gets torched and it's the best postseason of our lives. Because again, we are probably going to be a troll conglomerate this postseason because there's just not a lot of hope in Yankee land. So either this is going to be so juicy, the best downfall you could envision, or it's going to be tear your hair out agonizing because he's either going to lose a game all by himself or lose 2, or he's going to be Koji Uehara in 2013, just absolute nails for a month. So we'll find out. I don't want to, but we will.
Oh man, I need it. I need a home run like off the fucking light tower in Fenway.
Bring the Coke bottles back.
7 lights.
Bring the Coke bottles back so he can give up a home run that shatters that uncorks a Coke bottle.
Soaks and drowns all the fans in the top.
What is this now? Why do they fill these things?
Oh shit.
The metal lid just hit Jaron Duran. He's cursing at it, calling it a P word. We will we'll see. It's either going to be the absolute worst or the absolute best. But we'll join you next Monday. We won't. Actually, that's a holiday. Everybody enjoy your holiday for the labor. We'll figure out when we'll see you next week. We'll probably see you Tuesday, but stay in touch. The best way to know when we're going live is to subscribe. You'll get the alerts. Turn them on. Turn on that alarm bell. You'll see when you'll see the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weiner. You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Weiner. I think a lot of you did that today.
You're doing it.
Not naming names. Thomas Carinante, where can the people find you?
I am at Tommy's_takes. We are both at the official Yanks Go Yard account. That is at Yanks Go Yard FS. FS is for fan-sided. Let's go fan-sided. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. That's where all of the written content is. Plenty of stuff there. Plenty of other writers doing a lot of Yankees content, keeping you guys informed with everything that's going on under the surface, division rivals, AL playoff picture, whatever it is. Appreciate you guys reading. Appreciate you tuning in. Have yourselves a good weekend. Hopefully we can relax a little bit. We'll see you next week. Let's go Yanks. Get hot.
Hey, how about it? Anthony Volpe, don't play today. We will see everybody next week. Take care until then.